Need to do something here.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to talk about this book. It's a true milestone in conscientiology study, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you very much.
Okay, just a second here.
Okay.
Yes. So thank you again, Alexander, to join us and then to be here. Okay, this is will be a great opportunity for our uh, the Bridge book club that we are going to do for the Projectiology with this event of the 40 years of the anniversary of the book. And then make it very informal. The floor is yours, okay? And then feel
Okay.
free to start.
Okay. So, um, what can I say about this book? That it's very important to the beginning of conscientiology. At first, Dr. Waldo Vieira, he wanted to develop the study of the out of the body experience. That that was the most important phenomena that he thinks that can help happen with a person. So he put all his efforts to develop this new science. He first released a book, made a book about his own out of the body experience that's also translated to English. That's out of the how's the name in English? Um, out of the body experience.
Out of body
Um,
experience, yes, conscious projection.
yes, okay. So first he made this book in 1981. Then in 1986, he published the book Projectiology. This one is the book that really puts the projectiology in the science level, I think. Why is that? Because uh, the research that Dr. Waldo Vieira did was tremendous. The bibliography of the book also, with several researchers around the world. So, and he made all the process in trying to understand the phenomena and giving tools so a person can do it by himself. So that was the beginning of conscientiology with this book. I knew Dr. Waldo Vieira in the early beginning of 1986, right after he published the book. We had a common friend, Pia Steiner. She had the same last name as mine, but she's not in my family. Was just a coincidence, if you can say that. And she was read with Dr. Waldo Vieira. And then when he published the book, he asked her if she knew someone that would like to read the book. And she said, yes, I know a family that like about this kind of matter, this kind of
Subject.
theme. So I'm going to give to Marisa, that's my mother. So she gave her this book. And after she went to Waldo's house, he had a meet at his place every Saturday. He first had a lecture for around 1.5, 2 hours, the lecture. And after the lecture, he had a kind of extraphysical, like ECP2. How do you say the
It's kind of a extra physical dynamic or extra physical, not extra physical, but kind of field course.
Yes, that's it. That's a field course. That's better. So he had a small field course for another 1.5 or 2 hours, something like that. And that was the beginning of everything. Um, on April 12th, I went to this meet and first met Dr. Waldo Vieira. And since then, I started to be a volunteer with him. So, what was my place? What I did in the beginning of my volunteering with Dr. Waldo Vieira? I used it to send this book, the Projectiology, in Portuguese. That we only had this edition. And by the way, it's important to say Dr. Waldo Vieira did a 5,000 copies of the book for free and free distribution. So he paid for all the 5,000 copies of the books. Are you sure this is the first edition of Projectology? Oh, still is my papers. This is yellow paper from many notes and things that I did. So this is the official first edition book. So Dr. Waldo Vieira, he published these 5,000 copies and started to send to people all over the world, to universities and libraries. And my first job as a volunteer, not a job, but as a volunteer, was to helping to send this book for all over the world to people, libraries, universities, whatever.
It's amazing. Hey, and then when you're doing that, okay, was that also distributed during like uh, existential inverters meetings and this kind of activities, or it was more for the people around the community?
Yeah. Well, in the early beginning, just few people helped him. It was um, like to send this book, like me and the other 2 or 3 people, only that. Um, so that was in from April 1986 to the end of that year. Then, at that time, he had a group called the Center of Higher Studies of Conscientiology, of Conscientious. And this was a small group, and suddenly people were, after he published this book, many more people were trying to understand what was this projectology, what was this new science, that wanted to understand more about this phenomena. And many people saying, "Oh, I've felt there. I've passed to this situation, so I want to understand more what it is." So this small group was starting to grow, and that was until 1988 when the International Institute of Projectiology and Conscientiology, now it's called International Institute of Projectiology and Conscientiology, but at first was only International Institute of Projectiology because of the book. was founded on January 16th of 1988. And then we started with, and we say since this beginning, like that Waldo Vieira books, they had the capacity, I think we may say something like that, of making institutions, conscientiology institutions. Is that
Yeah,
clear?
I got it's like the foundation to start the IIP.
Yes, that's it. When he published the book, many people came to understand, to help, and this l- made possible the foundation of the IIP. That's it.
Yeah. And then just to let the group, the people that arrived, hey, if anybody wants to make questions at any moment, just let us know, okay? The floor is always open for everyone. Okay, this will be the spirit of the event. And then uh, in these first years, Alexander, Dr. Waldo, typically they talked a lot of stories about what was the backstage until having the book published. How was that? He shared some stories about what happened during this, especially these last years before really get the book becoming a reality and being printed.
Well, what can I say about it? Uh, that was since uh, in his early life, he was in Brazil. It's called Spiritism. It's a kind of religion that study this kind of phenomenon. Okay, I don't know if the people outside Brazil knows about Spiritism, like Allan Kardec and other studies that did this. It's a kind of religion now. So Dr. Vieira was at this Spiritism, but he wanted to do something like a more scientifically. So he tried to talk with the guy that was in the Spiritism to understand more about scientific research and try to do that at the Spiritism. They didn't want it. So since the end of 60 years, like 1966, he left the Spiritism. And since then, he started to study to publish this book. This book is it was published after 19 years of hard study, of hard research of Dr. Waldo Vieira. I had the opportunity when I was volunteering with him to be in his library, his personal library, and that was something real, also awesome. And sometimes I was there just trying to uh, know the books that he had, all the bibliography of the book, and then I found something in Germany. Oh, Waldo, do you know Germany? Oh, a little bit. My wife knows better than me because his wife, she was Germany. So she helped me a little. Oh, okay. So you read this book? Yes, I have some um, uh, um, to translate dictionaries, so I can use them to translate. I say, oh, that's good. Okay, this book is in Arabic. Uh, do you speak Arabic? Oh, no, I don't speak any Arabic. So How do you do this? Oh no, I got this dictionary here. Okay, so you're telling me that you get this dictionary and was translating all of those signs because it's not an word like an A, a B, or C. It's those signs. Yes, I did it. Really? Yes, because here I heard that there was a very special projection in this book, so I wanted to know what was it. So you read all this book doing this translator. Yes. And he did it with many other languages. If you see, oh, and of course, there was French. He knew some French. He knew English, of course, but he translated all of those books. If you go in the bibliography of this book, just see how many languages the books are. And he read all of them, even not knowing the language. Okay, Mariana, you can say, you can
Yes,
please
Alexander,
make
I
that.
think this is very interesting. And I was thinking here, we know that Valdo was very intelligent, right? Very good. But besides that, probably there is parapsychism as well in this process
Yes,
of reading books in other languages, right?
yes,
Because it's very difficult. That time there wasn't any
all of
internet.
this. Yes, all of this. He was very intelligent. He used his parapsychism to figure out where to go, where to read, where to put his efforts to, where to translate. Sometimes he was used to do things like going out of his body, talk to some helpers that knew that language to understand the meaning of what was in the book. Easy like that, he used to do.
Yeah,
So,
but in this case, we can imagine that there were a lot of helpers trying to help him in this process because they knew the idea was to create this big book that would help a lot of people for 40 years and more. So it
yes,
makes
yes,
sense.
yes. So that's why I said that he started to plan all of this since he left the Spiritism. That was the end of something like 1967, something like that. Okay. But the book was published in 1986. But he started with a real hard research 19 years before. That was in the middle of the 70s. Okay. Well, actually, it was right after he left the Spiritism. That was 1967, 68. That where he started to uh, do all his research on this book. And it was hard because things like that, because he wanted a book and knew that there was a book in, like I said, in Arabic, and he had the book and translated the book by himself. That's a hard work to do.
Yeah, and then something that came to my mind because we are talking here about parapsychics, okay? The role of parapsychics to write this book, and then in a time that we didn't have like a Google Translate or any other like software that would help to do some of these translations that we do in our daily life. Okay, so when you look to the parapsychic, it's something that came to my mind now because the projectiology, it was like a foundation. Like 2 years later, we had the IIP, the International Institute of Projectiology, founded. But there is
Yes.
also something that happened in the backstage during this period of time because it was the uh, temporary extraphysical community that was very connected with conscienciology that we in English is tambourine, I think that would be the name.
Okay.
So
In
what would be
Portuguese,
the
we say
connection between,
pandeiro.
yeah, the pandero, yeah. What would
Yes.
be the connection between this work, the projectiology, and the tambourine extraphysical community?
Well, what can I say is that uh, many of the early volunteers of projectology, they went to tambourine community, okay? And it was something that we knew in the beginning because he was always saying that some of the guys that should appear in this or to be a volunteer at that time, they didn't show. Um, and they say, "Oh, really? How many volunteers? How many persons are you talking about?" Oh, I think that something like 63%. And he had um, a number, and it was nothing like, oh, maybe half of the person didn't show. He said, oh, it's 63%. That was something that caught my attention. So you know the number? Oh, yes, I know some of the guys. When we asked him these things, he was just a little, oh, yes, I think here, I know some of the guys that should come here, but didn't show. And like what he did to my mother and to me, he knew that Pilar, not Pilar, the Pia, that was this friend in common, knew my mother. For somehow he knew. And he was directly to her and said, do you have a friend that would like to receive this book? And say, oh, yes, I do. So somehow, because of his parapsychism, because of his out of the body experience, and trying to know where each one of these guys would be in the world, for somehow he knew that Pia knew us, okay? And he did it with many other persons that arrived. Just for saying, Marina Tomas, she helped
Yes,
in the
I
early beginning of IIP. She was the first financial director of the institution. And she was at a little before he met her, he had some lectures in a place close to where she lived. And when some years after he met her, she said, oh, I was trying to reach you, but I couldn't. Sorry about that. I was supposed to meet you
meet you.
before, meet, meet you before than what we did. Also, he knew that she was around that place. He was trying to reach her, but he couldn't for some reason. And he
Yeah.
did it with many other volunteers that now are volunteers. When I arrived at his place, as I said, he had a lecture at his place. Then after have this field course that he did, and then he was calling if anyone would like to receive the energies, just like it happens in this uh, field course that we have. Okay. And when was my time? The guy that was calling the people said, okay, it's closed. And I say, oh, I missed it. No problem. I may go to another time or I come back here later. And then the extraphysical consciousness that was with him, the helper that was with him at that time, stopped everything and said, hello, Pia, again, asked to Pia that knew me. Pia, do you have anyone else that should come here? And she said, oh, yes, Alexander. He should go there. So, and at that time, I didn't really know him, just for the lecture. And he came and said, no, no, I want that guy, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, hey, what from this time and from the projectiology, okay, Alexander, what do you bring to the group, okay, especially for the newcomers, people that are new to conscientiology? What do you think that are the key takeaways from this work from Dr. Waldo?
Again, please.
Yeah, I think that the best learnings or the best like things or opportunity or experience that we can learn from this book. Well,
Okay,
what is your experience on that? What's your opinion on that?
okay. One thing that still is this book is still the best book about out of the barrier experience. If you really want to know, to understand uh, about out of the barrier experience, it is still the best book, the most complete. And there's another thing about this book. It's because it's not only about the phenomena, about his experience out of the bar experience. He puts uh, all the phenomena and put in a scientific way, I think. So this is the most important of this book, and it can be um, how do you say um, a kind of the book to be copy for the other specialities in conscientiology. You mean like if we want to talk about other phenomena, you can do a book like projectiology with all the research, with all the way that he writes. I think so. So this I think is the most important.
You set up a like a benchmarking for the like intermissivists that were coming, okay, that he was joining. Like one book that comes to my mind that we have nowadays only in Portuguese, that the Serexology from Pedro
That's it.
Fernandes. I think that's a good example.
That's it. I was thinking about this book. I think that Pedro did uh, the homework and did a book with that established a new science about seriaxiology.
Yes, yes. And, and then thinking about that, what tips can you give to the anyone that wants to develop the projectability? What do you think that how this book would help, and what tips that you really give to the people that are, oh, okay, wants to develop but has been thinking about it for years but hasn't, for example, make it happen?
Yes, I think the several techniques that he shows how it's possible to get out of your own body. Okay, because when you read a book about out of the body experience, um, every projector has some techniques that it's better for him that he knows that works, and he writes in his book, "Oh, I had this kind of projection. I did it." Uh, those that are a little more techniques and try uh, to write about how they did to get out of his bodies, because many books they don't have the projections. They don't say, "Oh, I got out of my body, so here I am," but they don't talk about how this happens. What can I do to have my own out of the body experience? And this book gives you several techniques to help the person, the reader, to understand. Oh, let me try this one. Oh no, I didn't like it. I don't think it's for me. I have another one to try. So you may have several different techniques to try and then choose what it's better for him.
Great tip. And Mariana?
Yes, I was thinking, I must say I haven't read this book, all of it, just some parts, but I think I've read twice the chapter one, the first chapter, and
Okay.
I really liked it. And at least in my experience, I want to know about you. Maybe you read more than once. Um, in my situation, I felt that at the beginning, the type of writing, it's different. So then it's a little bit difficult. But
Okay.
once you continue, it seems that you kind of enter in his way of thinking. And then the ideas, or at least I could see that I could have maybe an expansion of the ideas. I started to think bigger in a more scientific way. So let me look the pros or cons, or if this might help or not, and not so much like emotionally. So, do you have this experience? Do you know if this was intentional to be very different from his past work in religion and so on? Do you know more about it?
Well, what can I say? Um, when I first read this book, I was 17 years old. Okay, so 4 years ago, and I was in the elementary school. By the way, the same as Marcelo. We went to the same elementary school.
High
We
school.
just realized this. Oh, high school. Yeah, we went to the same high school. We
In
just
Rio?
realized it.
Yep.
Yes,
Oh, really? Where?
yeah, in Princesa Isabel School.
Okay.
Have you heard it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that was hard to read at the beginning. Those topics. Then, when I started in the medical school, I'm a physician. Okay, when I started in the medical school, many of the books, and Waldo Vieira, he was a physician also. Okay, many of the physician books, medical books, they have topics. And at first I said, "Oh, I know this kind of writing." I don't know if it was from the books that he had read before that he said, "Oh, I think this is the best way to schedule the book to set all those paragraphs." But maybe he had some influence about his medical formation, his physician formation. I don't know if it, but was something that caught my attention. I don't know, Elisa, as a physician, if you really compare like this.
It's interesting. I've never thought about that possibility, but I think it's very interesting this approach to see this way because it's really a very technical book. So yeah, it's very scientific, and I agree with that. This helps us to keep the scientific way to see all these phenomena things. And so, and there's something different. I was just thinking here nowadays, in my opinion, in the US, it's just like in 1986 back there here nowadays. Sometimes I feel this way with people that are interested in studying parapsychism and the phenomena. So we have a lot to develop here. So I think it's very good to hear you, Alexander, talking about all of this. And I hope this really can open this space for people to think about all these things in the group. And so good to be here with you. And thank you. And I think that this book helps a lot to expand the way we see this phenomenon of projectiology. I had to study a lot when I became a teacher in IIPC. I think I studied the whole book at that time. And I think it's a very nice book to begin and go until the end. So I think it's very interesting.
Yes. And one thing that's important, like I have this is the projectology in English. Uh, this what? Terry, you have one too. I know. Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Elisa
it.
also has it.
Yeah, she does. Well, let me talk about this 2002 edition. Was translated to English by Kevin de la Tour and Simone de la Tour. Okay. Many people helped in doing all the revisions of this book. Uh, I don't know, Terry, did you help a little with this book also? I know you helped with some of the books.
No, I didn't help with the book at all. Valdo gave me
Okay.
that special edition. It's so special, there are a couple pages missing in my book.
Really?
Really?
Oh, but well, so Kevin de la Tour, he's American. He went to Brazil in the early 1992, I think, something like this, to understand about projectology. At that time, it was only IIP also, because conscientiology just came after the 700 experience of conscientiology. That was 1994, this book, okay? So Kevin arrived in Rio de Janeiro trying to know more about projectiology and started to live in Rio de Janeiro. At first, he didn't know any Portuguese and he was trying to understand and knowing more about Portuguese. And he started with a relationship with Simone de la Tour, his wife. Then he started, oh, okay, but I'm going to translate the book to English. And Waldo said, okay, do it. So At first, he went back to New York in the end of 1998, 99, something like that. Then he went to China. The most of the book was translated in China while they were in China, and he did this translation, and the book was published, and the release of the book was in the third International Congress of Projectiology and Conscientiology. Marcelo is going to show some of the pictures
Oh, yeah.
we have.
We have it here. Feel
Ah,
free,
okay.
Alexander, to talk about the pictures.
Okay, so we have on the left the well, at that time the cameras were not so good like this one. Was a digital camera also, like we have now, but as I was talking with Marcelo, the pixels a lot. Well, the camera is a lot worse than we have today. So it's dark, the first image at the left. It's we're taking the books, the box from the we we had this box on the airport and we took to the Congress place. Okay, so we had a truck that we rented. Leonardo Fimato was the driver, and we were all packing and taking all the boxes to the Congress. The right picture was all the guys that helped with trans, transporting the boxes to the Congress place. You can show another one. That was Waldo, Graça, Ana Paula Firmato, and with the book when the book arrived at the Congress place. Then some of the conference that we had there. You can put another one.
Yeah, I think that those are the four pictures that we have. Then here you
Yes,
start
yes,
talking about the book.
yes. Okay. So just to show how the book arrived in US, and that was another job that we had to transport the book from the airport to the Congress place, all the boxes. Uh, that was nice to do. Okay.
Really nice. And Alexander, you mentioned about this book as a benchmarking, as a reference to create new specialties. And what's your opinion about how much this book, from what we learned so far in research, it could be expanded, or how much it's really up to date? Because Waldo, it was really ahead of his time. Okay, do you think that we have lots of things that could be expanded on this book nowadays, or it's really uh,
Yes.
updated?
And he really was ahead of his time. And well, it's not only we that study conscientiology that say about this book that is still the best one about this phenomena. Many researchers, when they, like in ASPR, American Society of Parapsychic Research, the SPR, the London Society for Parapsychic Research, they received copies of this book. And until now, they say that this is the best book to learn, to understand, to research about this phenomenon. So it's really a book ahead of its time in the way you're saying. And yes, this was a true milestone, we can say, in the study of the consciousness, this book. And It was the first phenomenon that Waldo Vieira wanted to study because of importance, but he later started to put other phenomena that he wanted to develop. Like you said, the Projectiology, the study of multiple lives. There was another, the remembering of these past lives. So he started to develop the conscientiology. That what happens in 1994 when he published that 700 experience. This book, um, it was translated by English.
Yes, yes, it's translated to English, this one also. Yeah,
Yes, there were Jeffrey translated the book, wasn't Jeffrey?
I think so. Jeffrey Lloyd. Yeah,
Yes, yes, he translated this book. So it was always it was in the beginning. So one book helped with the other phenomena. I think like when we start to study about out of the bar experience, we have in an when you have an out of the bar experience, you can remember about a past life. So it's the second phenomena that you need to study,
yeah,
and others and others and others and multiple phenomena that can happen while when you're having an out of the bar experience.
nice. And then one thing that I would like to highlight, we have, for example, Manuel here that he's new to Conscienciology, that these books, okay, some people has the special edition, but
Okay,
they are all available free in PDF format, okay?
okay,
So in the Editare site, at the ISIC site, we have Renencia site, we have some conscientiological websites that have some of these books available in English in the PDF format because Waldo Vieira, he donated the rights to become public. That's right, Alexander?
yes, yes, that's right. That's why um, when Waldo Vieira came to Iguaçu Falls, because he lived in Rio de Janeiro, and in the end in 1999, the beginning of 2000, he came to Iguaçu Falls, where he passed away. So since then, he started saying, all of my activities, all what I, whatever I do, I want it for free. And say, but Waldo, you are our best researcher, and the courses that you give that uh, they are important for the incomes that we have. And he say, I don't care. You're gonna have to do it by yourselves because all from now on, all of what I do, I want to do for free. And the guy, everybody say, okay, let let us try to do. So I think that was uh, another way that Waldo had to say that the money is not the most important. The knowledge should be free and should be for everybody. We know that institutions have to survive. They have to get some money somehow. That's why we have to our activities, many of them we have to pay, and we know that. But he wanted to do it uh, as much as he could. So he cheated, and I think that's important. And now we have the AI that's going to help a lot about the translations, because we have so many books to help in while we are speaking. Some lectures or some courses are in Portuguese. Here is still in Brazil the main place of Conscientiology. So many people that are all over the world, they don't understand Portuguese. And I think one thing that we have to um, improve or is this translation, this need to be more on time.
Mm, yes, AI could help with that. I think that's getting better. And then
Yes, it is.
one step is to have the works in Portuguese translate to English. Other step is to have the researchers that are native to other language publishing their works in their language. Okay, for example, English. I think that's when it get more mature. And then
Yeah,
one thing that I also want to share here that on the spirit of like Waldo that did a lot of his activities free for the people to have access to the knowledge. The bridge activities, and for example, this book club, that's a free activity that we do. Okay, so I'm just going to share very quickly here.
yeah,
The When you talked about the book and this free activity, the idea is that we go through the different sections of the book, like Mariana was talking, like at the beginning, it's a little bit challenging, like we're talking about scientific foundations of conscientiology. So the relations between projectiology and other science, you see, he starts to get it in details to to understand with high level details about what you're talking about, what's the phenomenon of projectiology, other altered states of consciousness, so you can compare about what is out of body experience or not, vehicles of manifestation of the consciousness, what are the different kind of bodies that you have, philosophical perspectives, pre-projection physical waking state. So we start talking about the stages of the cycle of the projection. Lucid projection techniques that Alexander was mentioned to us here that we can learn and get. So exteriorization of the consciousness, details about how it happens, the extraphysical period of the consciousness when we are out of the body, relationships of the projected consciousness, interiorization when you're coming back to the body, the post-projection physical waking state, the projector and the projections, relationships of loose projections, scientific perspectives, and even some open letters that we found. So the idea is that every month we would read this book that we have available free in PDF, or if you have the paper copy, hey, that's a privilege, even better. And then we are going to targeting around 100 pages each month. So we are going to be talking about one or two of these sections from September now until June next year. And June next year, that's a little bit lighter on the reading because the key thing at the end is an open discussion. What have you learned reading the projectiology? Because it's about not only the knowledge, but how you apply the knowledge in our evolution, in our life. I think that's some of the key things that you have here, and then there is this invitation to join this groups, this study group here.
yeah. One thing that I think that's very important to have all of this information in the internet is because it's a way to reach the intermissivist, okay? Because Until this book was published, or until we had the internet, if someone had any kind of phenomena out of the bar experience, or I remember for a past life, or a balloonama, whatever, what kind of phenomena we are talking about, a clairvoyance, clairvoyance, um, this person couldn't reach the information about what was happening with him so easily. Needed to talk to parents if he was a child or friends. And many of them what would say, "Oh, you're crazy. Forget about it. This is not in our religion. This is not about what we need to follow." Okay, but since we have all this information in internet, if you have any kind of this phenomenon, now it's real easy. Everybody goes to the Google and, oh, this happened to me. What it is? So in as many language that we have all of this information translate, the AI could help it with this. We can reach a number of intimacies bigger and bigger. So I think this is very important. That uh, was what Waldo Vieira wanted to do.
For sure that, and then not to have that somebody also coming to you and saying that's just a dream. Okay, yeah, it could be a dream, but yeah, we need to know the difference between not alcohol experience and the dream, and then we can have it with all the
Yeah.
information, all the knowledge that you can find on the internet or in different groups. Okay. Let me open the floor here. Anybody would like to make any questions?
Yes, I have one. Sorry, go ahead, Elisa.
Oh, actually, I would just like to just to point out, I think one of the important things of conscientiology and projectiology is about the disbelief principle, and I will just talk about that and ask Alexander if like he could add something about that. I think this is a very differential in our study.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Since I knew Dr. Waldo Vieira, he had this disbelief principle, and there was something that caught my attention. I say, this guy saying for me not to believe him? What it is? What is this? And after some time, I started to understand more what he wanted with this. Okay, he wants critical persons, not followers. So I think that's the difference because when you're talking about this kind of theme of study, it's real easy to get in the religious mode or in the not scientific. And of course, it's not any of the Waldo wanted. So since the beginning, he was talking about, okay, don't believe the disbelief principle. Don't believe in what I say. Have your own experience. So always remembering us that, okay, this is not to do as a religion. This is to do for the scientific way. Think about it. Have your own experience. Don't believe in anybody. So I think that was a vaccine for the people that think that this is a kind of religion. Because in some way, that was what happened with the Spiritism, with Kardec, when he started in France, the study of this kind of the phenomena with the he tried to do in the scientific way, but the people that came after him say, no, let's do like a religion way. And Dr. Waldo Vieira, he didn't want it to this happen again in this
But
time with conscientiology.
because but Kardec was having trouble with the church putting pressure on him. I think that's
Yes,
why they turn into the Jesus bit.
yes, that's it. That's what happened. So
Yeah.
that was a kind of vaccine, a prophylaxis for this kind of thing to happen with conscientiology. And that's why we have this belief principle in all of our books, in our lectures, in our course, in every activity we have, we put this principle.
And the interesting thing that you're talking about extra-physical communities, other dimensions, okay? So you don't need to believe in anything, just use the projective technique and go there in person or in psychosoma or mental soma, and then check the reality, if it's true or not. So
Yes.
that's the nice thing. Okay,
That's
Mariana?
it. So I have one more question. Like, do you have any tips or recommendations for us that are going to read the book to get the most of it during this moment? You know, if it's important to apply techniques while we are studying the book and reading or anything like that.
Oh, I think that all of this is going to help. So, yes, you can try some techniques before the meeting. I think that's a projective goal that would be nice to do, or everybody trying the same technique. Well, I think that's a good. So, I think you can change from one meeting to another and doing different goals or techniques to do. I think that would be nice. I like it. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever you think.
Very nice.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're going to take note and then one technique per month. Been fun. Hey,
Yes.
any other?
Everybody doing the same technique, trying to, like a week before the meeting, everybody doing the same technique and see what happens.
Sure. Hey,
And
any
that's
more?
the way to make science. So
Yes.
you can write a paper and say what's was common to everybody, what was the difference. That is nice to do.
Yeah. And then open again the floor. Any additional questions, guys?
May I ask a question? Uh, uh,
Yes.
yeah, for Daniel. I think he is the. Where are you from, Daniel?
Me. I'm well. Right now, I'm in US. Yeah, but usually I'm not in the US.
Okay. And how was it for you? Did you understand what we're talking about? Sorry about my English. So,
Yeah. So I didn't understand everything, but uh, yeah. But it looks like this group here is how to say, like, thinks the OPE experience is a real experience. Is like so. For example, if I just ask my father or brother, they're both medical doctors. Like,
okay.
if I just ask them about OBE experiences, I think they tend to think it's a kind of dream or it's not real. So, but I think here in this group, like it seems to be the assumption or that the OB experiences are also real experiences.
Okay. Yeah, I think one thing that I started to study, um, it's about the researches in the common science, not projectiology, not contentiology. They study about like multiple lives.
Oh,
That's what we call seriaxiology. Okay, and I think it's very interesting to read more about their research. Okay, like we have like a Beverly Rubik. She's PhD from the University of California, and she studies about energies. We have some others researches about, like I said, oh, which one is this book?
This one is interesting, like it's the Consciousness Beyond Life, the science of the near-death experience from Pim von Lommel. That's a interesting book, this one here, very good. A lot of
Yes,
medical data from databases from, I think, Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, Pim van Lomme, he's one of these researchers. Okay, and there are several researchers that do this kind of research in medical, in ER rooms. Pim van Lommel, his research, he did one very good research about experience that happened with persons that was in the ER room. So if you give him this book or their research, they may open a little more their minds. I think that could help.
oh,
And do a Google about researchers. Oh, I'm going to give you some book, some researchers. Oh, okay, I got some names here. Um, and Tucker Jim, he's from Virginia. He's one of the guys that do academic research about multiple lives. One of the best is Haraldsson Erlander. He's from Iceland.
Excellent. Yes.
So there are many researchers in the academy, university that are studying multiple lives.
oh,
So they are good researchers to print the and to study and give their work for people that don't understand and think that's just a dream.
mm,
So it's easy to do a Google and find these guys. Just ask for researchers about multiple lives, and they're gonna give you a lot of these names.
oh,
Okay?
The
yeah,
other one topic that's it's people research a lot. That's about near-death experience. That's another one that you can find
Exactly.
good material that it's connect with the medical science.
Yes. But this uh, Haraldsson that I said, he did a big research in Sri Lanka and Lebanon, and he his research almost said, "Okay, this is real." about this past lives remembering. So,
The
and it's a
retrocognition of the
retro,
retrocognition
yes,
of past lives.
um, past lives, yes, because he could put away all of the excuses that the scientific researchers, the academic one, used to do like, this is a dream. And he said, no, this cannot be a dream because of this, and this. And he explained why that is real. So it's a good guy to research, to know his books and all his works.
Why don't why don't you write on the site, write the name of the author? One of you, I don't know
Uh,
the name of the author. Marcelo, so he can get a clear.
We can send the name of some authors and some books on the group.
Yes.
I think that's a
yes,
good thing that we can do.
yes.
Hey, hey, any more questions to Alexander about the projectiology works? If not, Alexander, we would like, as Elisa mentioned, we are in United States, we are in a kind of, we are in the past, okay? We are like 1986 in Brazil, okay? So we have a lot to learn, we have a lot to do, and we have few people like studying the subject. So this, and you change. Uh, so this lecture, this okay, experience sharing that you had with us, okay, it was extremely worth for us. And then we would like to thank you very much for joining us and to talk a little bit about the 40 years anniversary of the Projectiology. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
The pleasure is ours. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay,
very much,
it was
guys.
great.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Nice meeting you, Daniel.